Hey guys, let's have a conversation about grip equipment. Oftentimes, I see a lot of people, they don't want to spend a whole lot of money on light stands. They think that, those Chinese brands are probably going to do the job and do the job well enough. Now, I've actually been there, I've done that, and I've fortunately haven't had any accidents happen, but I have had some close calls. See, the thing is with grip equipment is that these things hold and support a lot of the equipment that we invest in. And a lot of the equipment that you invest in, especially the lighting fixtures, can be incredibly expensive. And the last thing you want happening on a project or on set is one of your lights to come crashing down, hitting you, damaging itself, or in the worst possible scenario, falling down on one of your actresses. That's gonna be terrible. That's gonna be bad news. You never want to operate in any such danger. So I am a big believer that you should invest in equipment that is reliable and stable, especially when it comes to grip equipment. I really truly believe that. Now, of course, you have the more established brands such as Matthews, and they have been industry standards for the longest time for very good reason. They're very good at what they do, and the equipment has proven itself time and time again. However, the reason why I decided to go in a different direction was because I'm here in Canada. And because my business is in Canada, I wanted to be able to support a Canadian business as well. All of this grip equipment here that you see is made by Shape. Shape is a camera accessories company, and now they have a lot of grip equipment as well. They're based in Quebec, Canada. The reason why I wanted to go with Shape is because I've used their camera gear in the past, and I have been largely impressed by the quality of the equipment that they produce. So I did receive a discount to purchase this equipment. But the opinions that I will share here are my own. I like their grip equipment. I think they're very reliable. Are they as top notch as Matthews? Maybe not. Maybe I think Matthews is still a step higher. They also cost a lot more. So let's not forget that Matthews equipment, even though they are probably still better made and higher quality, they do cost a lot more. However, I don't think you're really sacrificing a lot of quality when it comes to this equipment as well. I think they're very well made. I think they're very, very stable, and you can rely on them to hold the fixtures that we use on set, the fixtures and the grip equipment that we use on set. This is a standard C stand with a 40-inch arm. This is a baby C stand with a 20-inch arm. These are low boys, 2-stage low boys, and these are 3-stage combo stands. These are technically both combo stands. The low boy is just a smaller version of it. And this baby stand is the same thing as this larger C stand, just a smaller version of it. Now, I don't necessarily bring all of this to every project. It really depends on it depends on what I'm gonna set up. Um, but I appreciate the versatility that it affords me. It's incredibly important to have a lot of tools in your toolbox because it's not always going to be solvable by the same tool. Sometimes you need different tools to solve a problem, and sometimes the problem can be solved a lot easier with the right tool. Every task could be made a lot easier if you have the right tool. And that's why I decided to invest in this equipment for my company and for my freelance projects as a DP. I think that it affords me a lot of versatility in the way I operate on set. For studio work, you're probably gonna have a lot more grip equipment than this. This is just my kit. This is the kit that I use for my company and my production. However, more often than not, I need a whole lot more equipment. And that's when I say, let's rent. I don't necessarily need to own all the equipment that I use on my project because that doesn't make a whole lot of sense. A lot of equipment, especially grip equipment, might be specialty equipment and they're very niche. You need them for certain scenarios that you might find, certain shots that you might need to set up. One of the few things that I'm really looking to get is a heavy duty boom arm that I can use for this combo stand. Um, and the reason why is because sometimes you have a fixture that's probably somewhere in the 10-pound range, and you don't really want to support it with a C-stand because that makes zero sense. That thing is gonna fall over. The C-stand cannot support that kind of weight. It's not designed to. Um, but this stand can. And if you have a heavy duty boom arm, then you probably can. I know Shape has manufactured, I know they have produced a heavy duty boom arm. So I'm gonna have to reach out to them and possibly try to get one of those because that's something that I use a lot. Whether it be a backlight or trying to raise some kind of light or maybe rigging the camera overhead or rigging, some kind of a camera move, perhaps with a slider that I need to rig overhead. Grip equipment is just that, it's grip equipment, and it supports the things that you need to set up for the camera and the lights. And so that's why these 8 stands are never gonna fulfill every requirement on every project. For a lot of those cases, you're gonna have to rent. And honestly, renting makes sense because they don't come all the time. But for my use cases, especially now that we're finding ourselves producing a lot of documentary films and a lot of documentary projects for clients, and it does go in his vehicle a lot of times, and oftentimes even a smaller vehicle that I might have. I use this vehicle also as a family vehicle, and so having to load all this equipment and lights and everything else that I need to bring with me is not always the best use of this vehicle. If you're from Ford, if you're from GMC, if you're from Ram, if you want to sponsor me with a van or a pickup truck to load all this equipment in, hey, reach out, let's talk. I'm very open to that conversation. On a documentary project, I often want to bring the least amount of equipment as possible. However, I approach documentaries in a very different way, especially if you're trying to set up an interview. I light all my interviews. I don't rely on natural light. I don't rely on available light. It's just not how I operate. These are things that we use as cinematographers to help tell a story. And so I still operate the same way, whether I'm doing a commercial or whether I'm doing a brand film or whether I'm doing a documentary. I will still pretty much come in with lights. The basic equipment that I will bring with me on a documentary shoot are probably 3 stands. Now, which 3 of these stands, it really depends on what I know that I'm gonna set up. I like to use this if I'm gonna use one of my 600s or possibly one of the 500s, or if you're gonna put a 1200, this stand will work and it'll support it very well. If I know that I don't need to raise it up in the air extremely high, I'm probably going to bring the low boy as well, because the low boy is also very stable, it's also very sturdy, and it's a lot smaller. So if I can get away with something smaller, I'm gonna do it because it makes the job easier. If I know that maybe I need to carry some modifiers with me, if I need to set up a 4x4, if I need to set up a 2x3 flag, if I need to set up a tube light, for example, like the Astera Titan tube, which I really, really love, then I'm probably gonna put it on one of these C-stands. And the baby's gonna come out if I know that I don't need to put it up that high, or if I know that I just wanna operate with something smaller, I'm probably gonna bring the baby stand. Now, these baby stands are incredibly useful because you can also use it to support a monitor that you might have on set for your client or for your producer or for yourself. And so that's why I love these tools. Again, these are all tools. These are all tools that we use on set. These are all tools that we use on a shoot, and they're incredibly useful. I think these stands are really all you need. And if you need anything else, then you can probably just rent it out. If you are looking for a grip equipment, I think you should definitely consider them. I think this equipment is an investment. I think they are worth the investment, and they are somewhere in the mid-tier when it comes to pricing, and I think it's absolutely worth it. If you have any questions, if you want to know more about these stands, you just need any clarification that I might be able to help you out with, hit me up, drop me a message, subscribe. If you want more of this type of content, that's another helicopter that's up in the air right now.